Okay, we're ready to get started on our next lesson. And this one is going to be compositing images together. So we're going to take a more advanced look at layers, and we're going to learn how to start combining images from one image to another. So we need to start by having the part of the image that we want to move over selected and on its own layer. We also have here an image that we're going to use for the background of our composite image. So this little star field will be the background, and this image, this person flying here, will be what we composite over. So let's do a real brief one. So I'm going to go ahead and use the lasso select tool, and I think I want to make this a soft edge selection, so I'll set my feather to say 25 pixels. And then I'm going to make a real quick, rough selection of this person flying through the air here. And then I'm going to Command J and pull that up onto its own layer. And we have something of a soft edged selection. This image was really high resolution. There you can see it's got a little bit of a soft edge. If we wanted a softer edge, we could have gone with a higher value on the feather value. We'll leave it there at that for now. So I'm going to zoom back out. And to get this over onto the other layer, or the other image rather, we just click and we drag and we drop it. And this image came in very, very large because this starfield image was a very low resolution image. So let's talk about resolution for a second. I'm going to toss that, and I'm going to go to Image, and I'm going to go to Image Size. And you'll see that this is 72 pixels per inch. It's 14 inches wide and approximately 8 inches high, but it has 72 pixels per inch. If we go look at this, which came from a student's camera, let's get over to this, and we take a look at its image size. We go to Image, and we go to Image Size. It's probably, well, it's 48 by 72. It's 72 pixels per inch, but it's a much larger image, which means if we make it about the same size of the image that we've got here, which was about 14 by 8, we will go up to about 300 pixels per inch. So let's do that. Let's go to Image, Image Size, and I'll make it 14, and we'll just let this land wherever it will. That's 21. And if I don't resample the image, and I do 14, suddenly it's 246 pixels per inch. So if they're both exactly the same size, there are a lot more pixels in this image of the person flying. And that's why when it came in, it looked so much larger. And there's a way to fix that. So we'll bring it in, and I'm going to zoom way back here. And I'm going to do Command T, if you remember free transform. Notice that the bounding box for the free transform is off the edges of the picture. So if I hold the shift down, I won't resize her. She'll kind of stay the same. If I don't hold the shift down, this is what you end up doing. But I'm holding the shift down, so there. And to finish this, we click 2 times. Click, click, and it's done. So this is pretty cool. We've got this person kind of tumbling through space. But I think I'd like to clean it up a little bit. I think I'd like to do a little bit better selection. Kind of get closer to the edge there. There's a couple ways we can do this. From here, the easiest way is just to go ahead and grab the erase tool here and just erase this out. That'll work just fine. Okay. Another quick way to do this would be to grab the Magic Wand Select tool and select this blue, and then just push delete. There we go. That's a lot quicker. Probably need to use Refine Edge if we wanted to get all the hair there. We've gone over Refine Edge in another lesson. Okay, may not have as much luck here around the feet. So I'll go back to my erase tool. I'll erase that out. There we go. Okay. Not too bad. There, not bad. All right. Except for the blue around the hair, which we could work on that with the refine edge tool. This blue area. It's not a bad selection at all. So, I introduce you to another selection tool today, and that is the color range selection tool. So I'm going to leave layer 1 my active layer, and I'm going to go up under select, and I'm going to click color range. And if I sample on that blue, this little proxy image here is showing me what's being selected. And the fuzziness is basically how sensitive that selection is. And so the white areas are being selected. So I've sampled the blue, and if I hold down shift, you'll notice a little plus sign comes up next to my eyedropper. So I can kind of add the different shades of light blue to it. And I can kind of adjust my fuzziness until I have just the blue selected. I push delete, drop my selection, and there it is. Not too bad. So that is select and that is color range. And that's how you can select something out of an image that, say, her pajamas there are pink. And if I hold down shift, I'll get all the different shades of pink. And suddenly, there, her pajamas are selected. Didn't select the back part of the pajamas because they're black and they're in the shadow. And it kind of selected some of her hair because her hair is sort of a tan color, which is not too far off of that pink. So you can control that with the fuzziness slider. So let's go back to that. That is select, color range. Holding down shift to add to the selection. And you can see here by the proxy image, the little thumbnail image, that it is going to pick up some of her hair. So if I move the slider down, there we go. Okay, so now, yep, it didn't do too bad of a job picking up her pajamas there. So I'll go ahead and drop that. And there's a couple of other things I want to introduce you to in this. This little tool right here, the opacity. This lets you control how see-through that layer is. So you can make it barely there. You can make it disappear. Okay. If I want a copy of that layer, I can click it and I can drag it to the new layer icon. And if I Command T it, and I actually got this idea from one of my students. There we go. Click it 2 times to finish that. Do it again. Command T. Click it 2 times to finish it. Duplicate it again. Command T. There we go. Good again. Do it one more time. Command T. Whoops, didn't want to do that. Let's escape it real quick. Command T. There we go. Finalize that. Zoom back. So now what happens if we decide we want to lower the opacity of this layer to, say, 10% or 20% rather. There we go. Not bad. 20%. Can we see it? There she is. And then this next layer to, say, 30%. And the next layer to, say, 40%. And the next layer to, say, 50%. It's kind of cool. Okay. So compositing there. We'll do one more new tool for you today. I'm going to duplicate this again, and I'm going to Command T it again, and I'm going to rotate it a little more. That way I can make this layer, where are we at? Are we at 50%? Oops, wrong layer. We'll just escape out of that. Do this one. So that's 50, so we'll make this one 60. we go. We're going to do a layer mask. Okay, and that's this button right here. And what the layer mask does is when we add it, it puts this little block right next to the layer. And anytime we have a black mark on that layer mask, you don't see that particular layer. If that mark is, say, 50% gray, you'll see 50% of that layer. If that mark is pure black, you won't see that layer at all. Here, let's turn these others off so we can see what's going on there. So these are pure black marks on the layer mask. You know you're editing the layer mask because the little brackets are on the layer mask. The thing about the layer mask, you could do this with an eraser, but the layer mask is not destructive. In other words, if I want to get that back, all I've got to do is go back and paint in white. And see how that's changing the layer mask? And that puts it back. So black will take it away. 50% gray, right about here. We'll make it 50% see-through. Okay? And white puts it 100%. 100% there, 100% opaque. So that is a layer mask, and that's done with this little button right here. Okay, another thing you might find useful as you start to build up a lot of layers is a layer group. And that's this little thing that looks like a folder here. So if I click that, it puts a new layer group here. And see, I've got all these layers, and I can click them, and I can drag them and drop them into the layer group. Like so. Okay? And that way I can turn that whole group off with one mouse click. Or I can click this little spin down, and I can see all the layers that I have in my layer group, and I can turn them off and on individually. I can name that group by double clicking on the word. We'll call it flyer. Okay, and we can name each layer flyer 1, flyer 2, and so on. Okay, that way your layers aren't just named layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. You can give them names that make sense to you so that you can find them again real quickly. And then there's one more thing I want to introduce you to, and that is the layer mode switch, and that is right here. Most of the time you'll be in normal, but sometimes you want to try something really cool. This is how this layer interacts with all the layers underneath of it. And you can just give these a try and see what they look like. Overlay's pretty cool. A difference is showing the difference. I kind of like that effect. Divide's cool. Gives you kind of a negative, color negative look. That's fun. Okay, so give the layer modes a try. Again, the layer modes, that is how this layer that's currently active interacts with all of the layers underneath of it. And most of the time you'll be working in normal. And then normal is what you're used to. But say we put it in difference, it's going to show the difference between them. If you put it in luminosity, that's kind of a color thing. Okay. Saturation, it's going to show whichever is most saturated, which of the layers, or they overlap. Okay. So that is how you take an object from one, or a layer from one image, and put it into another.